Yes, today I hope to teach you some things that you never knew about London, the greatest city in the world. There's so many hidden gems, there's so many things hiding in plain sight that people walk past every single day, but they don't know the history behind it. So hopefully I can teach you something cool today. The first thing I'm gonna tell you, and so many people make this mistake, is this is not London Bridge. Look at it. This is not London Bridge, this is Tower Bridge. You can see it has two towers. This is Tower Bridge. London Bridge is over there. It's just a bridge. There's nothing special about London Bridge. Tower Bridge, London Bridge, okay? We are just getting started, but behind me here is the Tower of London. Very, very famous. But you can see here, they have information back to the 1700s. And let me tell you, that is new compared to some of the stuff we're going to see today. There's so much old stuff in London that people have no idea about. Just imagine 400, 500, 1,000 years ago, people walking down here. Absolutely incredible. I love that London preserves so much of its history. So London Bridge, Tower Bridge, and the Tower of London. By the way, this is the long line to get in. Make sure you get your tickets if you want to go inside the Tower of London. They're too well known for me. Today it's all about the obscure stuff, the stuff that people have no idea about. If you clicked on this video hoping to see some of the most famous sites in London, then click out now. No, actually don't. Stay, because it's going to be interesting. We're going to see some of the stuff today that is not famous at all, but is so interesting, it's so fascinating. London is definitely the greatest city in the whole world, in my opinion. There's so much history here. Our journey is just getting started, but here's a perfect example, not KFC. This thing here. What is this thing? How long has it been here? Just look at it. There's history everywhere. Churches. Now churches, I love and hate churches. I've seen so many of them, but this one, founded 675 AD. That is absolutely crazy. Almost 1,500 years old. Here is a great British pub. I'm going to tell you a story about pubs in London later, but they're always so cool. So right now I'm standing on Pudding Lane. All of these people are walking by and they have no idea that this is one of the most significant places in the whole of London. So what happened here? In 1666, the Great Fire of London. Almost the whole city of London was burnt down, and it started right here. It started right here on Pudding Lane. And all of these people, they're just walking down here and they have no idea what happened here. Very, very significant, very, very famous, but people don't know about it. Amazing. Fun fact about that building right there, my dad's working up there right now. I'm gonna go meet him later for lunch, but my dad's up there. As you can see, there's construction all over London. They're building everywhere, but they've tried very, very hard to keep some of their authentic stuff. And like I said, most of them are just in plain sight. People see them, but they have no idea what the history is and why they're still there. But London is amazing. I love it so much. So I have a route that we're going to take through London today, and all of the stuff we've seen so far is literally the things that I've seen between the train station and where we're going. For example, this street, this is King William Street, and this street is 200 years old. A 200-year-old street, and look at it, it's amazing. You can see here local history. The street was built 1829 to 1835. Wow. London Underground, we're going to talk about that later because there's so much to say, but let's go and see the first thing that I plan to see. It is time to get down to business. I'm so excited to show you this. This is absolutely incredible. So this is London Wall, and this street is called Coleman Street, which is the greatest name for any street in the world because that's my name. So one of the best kept secrets in the whole of London is through that door. Look at it. Looks like an unassuming door, nothing special. All of these people walking by have no idea that you can push that door. So let's push that door and see what we find. This is why I was so excited to show you this, because look around. We're in a parking lot, a car park. There's nobody here, it's dead silence. And then you have this. This is one of the most historic things in the whole of London, but nobody knows about it. Look at this. Incredible. Let me tell you about this. So this is the London Wall or the Roman Wall. and it was discovered in 1957 when they started to build the car park. This was built in 200 AD. That means it's almost 2,000 years old and is still standing right here. So you might think we're underground, but we're not. So this was the original level of London. So everything above us that's London up there. And we're down here. This is the original London, but this thing is almost 2,000 years old and is still here. So this was a fort that housed 1,000 soldiers almost 2,000 years ago. And it's right here. I'm gonna go touch it. Nobody knows about it. It's dead silence in here. There's not a single person here. Where's all the tourists? This is the kind of stuff you want to see. Wow. So around London, there are various spots that you can see parts of the Roman wall that still stand. This one is not popular, it's not famous, and there's some other famous ones that people always go and see, but nobody ever comes and sees this one. London is one of the most busiest cities in the whole world. There's millions of people up there right now, and I'm down here by myself in central London, seeing one of the most famous things in London. Not famous, but one of the most historic things in London. I think that's incredible. So you might have noticed these red blocks here going all the way across, all the way across. Now, they're not too sure why these were put inside the wall. Some people think maybe it was decoration, some people think it was to keep it straight, but most people think that it was to keep the water out. So it made the wall watertight. I think it's incredible. Almost 2,000 years old, and I'm touching it. Amazing. Wow, I think that is just amazing. I love the fact that we save stuff. Is it really worth deleting history just to get a few more parking spaces? I don't think so. So well done, London. Let's move on. We have so much to see in this amazing city. At the beginning of the video, I told you we're going to see some obscure stuff. I wasn't lying, was I? Has anybody heard of that wall? Let me know. But let's go and see London. So I just spoke to the security guard down there and I said, where's all the people? Why does no one know about this? And she said they do have tour groups come down here, but not many. So none of this stuff I'm going to show you today is a secret. It's just not that well known. Here we go, back in the hustle and bustle of the streets of London. Don't worry, everywhere I go today I'm going to put in the description so you can visit too. More construction. There's construction everywhere. Will there be a time where there's no old stuff left? Maybe, hopefully not, but I love the fact that they save stuff like that. But like I said at the beginning of the video, like something from like 1700 is not even that old. Like yes, it's 300 years old, but that is 1,800 years old, the London Wall. I think it's incredible. At this time, I just want to say thank you so much to the channel members. Click the join button below this video to become a channel member. I love making these videos, and the fact that you support me in that way means I can make more of these videos, so thank you so much. Look at all these bikes. This is the longest line I've ever seen for sandwiches. All of these people are waiting for a sandwich. See, just walking down the street, you see stuff like this. So there was a hospital here, 1835, but on the other side of the wall, there's something even older. Destroyed by a fire, 1771, incredible. That is one of the most famous things in London. Everybody knows St. Paul's Cathedral, so it's too famous for us. Let me show you the best view. Look at that. Wow. By the way, this is Cannon Alley. Like I said, St. Paul's Cathedral, too famous for us, so we're just going to pass by. But I think it's absolutely hilarious that across the street there's a McDonald's. So you can go inside and they do have a regular church service. It's absolutely massive. I just got to go touch it. St. Paul's Cathedral. Let's touch it, let's touch it. There you go, St. Paul's Cathedral. So, just down this street here, down there is a pub that William Shakespeare used to drink at. And talking of Shakespeare, let me show you something. We're gonna go that way, but I think it's just incredible that next to St. Paul's Cathedral you can get Chinese food. Who knew? By the way, all of these streets, they have names, but there's a reason behind the names. Like, who's Peter? I don't know. But over there, Knight Rider Street. Why? We are crossing Millennium Bridge. St. Paul's just behind me. So this ugly building here, this is called the Tate Modern. It's an art gallery and it's free to go inside, but that thing there, that is the Shakespeare Globe Theatre, and today you can see Shakespeare plays inside there. I'm at the end of the bridge and this is another amazing photo spot. Look at that. We are going to skip the Shakespeare Globe Theatre and the Tate Modern. They are too famous for us. Let's go and see something unknown. So right there is the Tate Modern, but if we just go around this corner, let me show you something so unique. So unfortunately, there's a huge truck parked right exactly where I wanted to go. But let me tell you about this small house. Look at this house. So you can see the tall buildings, and then this small house survived. Is this the luckiest house in London? So right now I'm on Hopton Street. That is 67 Hopton Street. So the story goes that they wanted to develop this area because it was becoming very desirable. But this person decided not to sell their house to developers, so it still stands here today. It's now a protected building, so it can't be knocked down. So you can see there's construction going on right now, but they cannot touch this house. This house has survived 2 world wars, so much redevelopment. This house was built in 1700, 1702 to be exact, but I know which one I'd rather live in, this soulless building or this cute, very original house. I think that's so amazing that it survived this long. But it is a private residence right now, so somebody lives there. Somebody lives in maybe the most unique house in the whole of London. It's just incredible. I don't want to get too close just to respect the homeowners, but you might notice there is a window missing here. So at one time the government decided to bring in a window tax, so people decided to board up their windows so they would pay less tax. That is what you call daylight robbery. But like I said, people are walking past this house. They have no idea that this house is over 300 years old. Maybe they don't care, maybe they don't notice it, but I think that's really cool. Wow. Very original. 1702. Construction here, but they're all going to look exactly the same. They're all going to look like that, boring and soulless. They don't build houses like that anymore, especially in London, which is really sad. It's so sad that every building looks the same today. They're all so boring. They just build them as quickly as possible so they can make as much money as possible. There's no pride anymore, and there's no uniqueness anymore. Everything's the same. London Blackfriars train station. Let's keep walking. Welcome to Temple Place. This is where our next destination is. Before we see it, I just want to teach you something about the street signs here in London. So you can see here it says WC. This means West Central, so it tells you what part of London you are in. So I've said a few times that a lot of the things we're going to see today are hidden in plain sight. The next thing I'm going to show you is definitely hidden in plain sight because people see it every single day, but I'm sure a lot of people have no idea what it is. So there's a lot of construction here, so I hope it's not too loud. Picture this, it's 1874, you just finished a meeting, you want to get home, but you cannot find a cab. It's pouring with rain, there's no cabs anywhere, so you end up walking home. That's what happened to Captain George Armstrong, and he decided to build these. This is a cabman's shelter. There was 61 built in the whole of London, and there's only 13 left today. The reason that Captain George Armstrong could not find a cab was because all of the cab drivers were taking shelter inside the pubs, and there was nobody to take him home, so he decided to talk to his rich friends, and they made the Cabmen's Shelter Trust, and they built those. So this gave the cab drivers somewhere to relax, somewhere to get food and drink and shelter from the bad weather, so people knew where to go to get a cab. Where do you think they built the first ever Cabmen's Shelter? It was outside Captain George Armstrong's house. Imagine that. You step outside your house and then there's a taxi waiting for you right there whenever you need it. He wanted it, so he did it. So remember, we're talking about the 1870s. So when I say cabs, I mean horse-drawn cabs. Horses. So the cab drivers would tie their horses on the side of the shelter so nobody stole it and they didn't run away. 1835, Joseph Hansen designed the hansom cabs. Yes, the horse-drawn cabs. And in 1860, there was 4,600 around London. They only stopped being used in 1947. Let's take a look at the shelter. So like I said, this is the Cabmen shelter on Temple Place. This is not the original one, but there's a plaque over here and it says the Cabmen's Shelter Fund. Those are the people that got together and built these shelters to give the horse-drawn cab drivers somewhere to relax, get some food and get some shelter. So what do you think this is for? This is to tie up horses. So horses would have been tied up here so the cab drivers can go inside and get some refreshments and relax a little bit. Just imagine in 1860 tying the horses up here and then going inside, getting something warm to eat, sheltering from the rain. Unbelievable. So the sign right there, it says we are open to the public. So of course I'm not a cab driver. They are still used today by cab drivers. The only people that are allowed to go inside are cab drivers. There is something in London called the knowledge. This is a test that all cab drivers need to take even today because they know every single street in London. Those are the only people that are allowed to go inside. I'm allowed to order, the public's allowed to order something from the window, but the only people allowed inside are qualified cab drivers. They are beautifully designed. You can see up here CSF, Cabmen's Shelter Fund. So like I said, there is only 13 of these left in London, and I think people walking by here, they have no idea what this small green building is. Now you know, it's a Cabmen's shelter. You can take a closer look at the roof here. I just think it's incredible. The story behind it and how they're still here today, that's what fascinates me. So as you can see, so much construction down here, but these are protected buildings. That means that they cannot be destroyed. So this thing is going to stay here. Doesn't matter if they build so many tall buildings around here, this thing is going to stay here because it's protected. So the next time you're in London and you see one of these small green shelters, now you know what it is. We are going to keep moving. The next destination is less than half a mile away. I swear every single street in London has a story. There's so much history still there, and a lot of it goes unnoticed, which is a shame, but then we get to see some really cool places that nobody knows about. Look at this cool pub, the Savoy Tap. We're coming to a very famous street over here. Welcome to the Strand, one of the busiest streets in the whole of London. This street is on the Monopoly board. The Strand is very famous for expensive hotels and theatres. So of course we talked about the horse-drawn cabs. So of course these are the cabs today. If you don't know, cab means taxi in English. So all of these drivers, they have to take a test called the knowledge, so they know every single street in the whole of London. Look at this nice little cafe. So I've made it to Tavistock Street. Nothing special about the street, but there's something special all the way up there. Right there. If you remember, I said that I would tell you something interesting about pubs in London. So in 1389, alehouses and pubs were required to have a sign outside to say that they sold beer. The problem was people in those days couldn't read. Well, most people couldn't read. So that is why you see so many pubs, they're named after stuff. So like the Dog and Bone, so they can show a picture of a dog and bone because people couldn't read. So the first signs in London were on pubs, and then shops started to follow. So if a shop sold, for example, dresses, they would have a picture of a dress on the sign. They wouldn't say dresses because people couldn't read the signs. This morning we saw Pudding Lane. That is where the Great Fire of London began in 1666. And in 1762, Parliament here in London decided that you could no longer have hanging signs. You had to have the sign on the side of the building. So you can see over there it says Tavistock, it's on the building, and there's another one there too. But there's something very interesting about that one up there. In the late 18th century, they decided to be more organized. Every street got a name and every building got a number. So that is why houses have numbers today, because they had to be more organized. So Tavistock Street right here, it was originally named York Street. It was named after the Duke of York, and in 1630 it had a street sign, and that is now the oldest street sign in the whole of London. And it's right there. It's up there, it says York 1636. That is the oldest street sign in the whole of London. So in 1636 they put the street sign right there, it says York Street, and a year later they changed the name to Tavistock Street. So we're in Covent Garden right now. Covent Garden is just over there, and Tavistock Street is named after the guy that owned basically the whole of Covent Garden. And something else very interesting is the Duke of York later became King James II. Amazing. The oldest street sign in London is right there. York Street. All right, let's go, because a lot of people are looking at me like a crazy person because I'm looking up at a building. They have no idea what it is, but that's all right. I would love to educate them because this stuff is so interesting. Let me know if you've known any of this stuff that I've shown you today, because a lot of people don't. So we made it to the world famous Covent Gardens. We're just going to pass through. We're not going to stop because we have other things to see. So many people here. If you visit London at Christmas time, come to Covent Garden. It's the best. Covent Garden is cool, but it's very, very touristy. Too famous for us. Let's keep going. I know you're asking right now, Ben, why have you come to Trafalgar Square? It's so famous. You're right. That's the National Gallery. Right there is Nelson's Column, but there's something very interesting over here. So Trafalgar Square is over there. If you cross the street, I'm on the roundabout here. And over here, there's a small taxi. I don't know what the taxi is. We're looking at the statue that is King Charles I. So the first interesting thing about the Charles I statue, this is the center of London. Everything in London is measured from right here. It is also London's oldest bronze statue. It was made in 1630s and he was executed in 1649 at Banqueting House, which is just over there. All right, so I have to read you the story to make sure I get the details correct because it's hilarious. The story behind this statue, I don't think a lot of people know this story, but he was executed 1649 and a local goldsmith, John Rivet, he was hired to destroy it, but he decided to hide it in his garden. And he started to sell cutlery, which was apparently melted down from the metal from the statue. So a lot of people wanted this cutlery because it was made from this exact metal, they thought. Charles II was restored in 1660 and John Rivet decided to dig the statue up from his garden and sell it back to the king. So he got paid 3 times. He got paid to destroy it, which he didn't do. He got paid for the cutlery, which he said was made from the metal from the statue, which it wasn't. And then he got paid for selling the statues. He got paid 3 times for the same job. John Rivet, what a legend. The statue was placed here in 1675 and it faces down a street called Whitehall. Very, very famous street here in London, Whitehall. And that is where Charles I was executed. So he's facing his own execution. Everything has a story. Educate yourself. You might learn something very, very interesting. Because like I said, I'm sure a lot of these people, they know it's Charles I, but they don't know the story behind it. It's amazing, London is amazing, but our next destination is literally just over there, so let's go. By the way, this is one of the most dangerous streets in the whole of London. Do not cross the street until there is a green man. Don't do it. Really cool pub, the Sherlock Holmes. So just behind me, you can see the flags there. This is Benjamin Franklin House. Between 1757 and 1775, Benjamin Franklin actually lived here in London. He was kind of like the ambassador for the early American colonies. Now it's a museum, but there's a very interesting story of what they found in the basement. So in the 1990s, they decided to make this building into the Benjamin Franklin House Museum. And they started to dig up the basement and they found some bones. They found 1,200 human and animal bones dating from the time that Benjamin Franklin lived here. So of course the first person they looked at was him. So after doing some more research, they realized a man called William Hewson. He was a friend of Benjamin Franklin and he had a workshop or an office here because he ran an anatomy school. And they think, they're not sure, they're not 100% sure, but they think that the bones must have come from William because he used them for research and for studying. So the bones probably were nothing to do with Benjamin Franklin, but there's still a question. How did William Hewson get these bones? They think that body snatchers gave him the bones for him to do his studies. So apparently, I don't know if this is true, but apparently criminals used to dig up these bodies and people used to buy them for research because it was big business back then. And maybe because of the shady way that William got his hands on these human bones, he decided to bury them immediately in the closest place, which was the basement. It was the garden then, but now it's the basement. That's where they found it. There it is. Benjamin Franklin actually lived right here. He walked down this street and he lived right here, almost 20 years. I think that is just incredible. Benjamin Franklin, one of the founding fathers of the United States of America. This was his front door. He was standing right here. I think that's incredible. So there is a sign here. It says Benjamin Franklin lived here 1706 to 1790. I think this is the dates that he owned this house. So I think the dates that I saw online, 1757 to 1775, that's when he was actually here, but I think he owned it the whole time. So there you go. I think that's really cool. A little bit of American history here in the center of London. Amazing. So you can actually go inside the museum. I guess scan this QR code to find out, but there you go. Piece of history. The houses down here are just so cool. They are very, very expensive. A lot of them offices. Some people still live here, but they're all very old. They're very cool. We have one final hidden gem to see today. Honestly, I could make like 20 of these videos because there's so many hidden gems and unknown cool things in London. So please let me know if you like this kind of video, because I love making these kind of videos. I love London so much. And like I said, there's a billion different videos that I can make. So please let me know, write me a comment. This souvenir store reminds me of Friends when Joey gets his London hat. London, baby. Let's go to our last destination today, just passing by Nelson's Column again. Let me say it, Trafalgar Square. I watched a video once, an American lady, she was here, and she said Trafalgar. I was like, what? Never heard anybody say it like that. I was so shocked. Trafalgar Square. London, baby. Welcome to our last destination today. There's gonna be more, but just today. So, over there is Buckingham Palace. This is called Waterloo Place, and that street there is called Pall. Very, very famous. We're looking at this building today. So that is called the Anthenaeum Club. It's a members only, very, very exclusive club. It opened in 1824, and two of the former members, Charles Darwin and Charles Dickens, they got inducted on exactly the same day. This building was originally lit with gas lamps, but in 1886, this building was one of the first buildings in the whole of London to get electricity. I have to show you the library inside. It has 70,000 books. Look at it. I want to put some videos or pictures here, but look at the library that's inside this building. I'd love to see it. But the reason I came here today is because of that thing right there. Those stones right there. So the stones that I'm standing on right now, they're very, very significant. They're called mountain blocks, and they were used to get on and off of horses. But these ones are extra special because look, they were put here under the request of the Duke of Wellington in 1830. So the only reason these are here is because the Duke of Wellington needed them to get on and off his horse, because he was in his 50s when he was a member here and he wasn't as fit as he used to be. So he used these exact steps, mounting blocks, to get on and off his horse. The Duke of Wellington was standing right here where I am. Amazing history. If you don't know who the Duke of Wellington is, he was the victor of the Battle of Waterloo 1815, and he was also the Prime Minister of the UK 1828 to 1830. It's just incredible that he was a member of the Anthenaeum Club, but these steps are here, the mounting blocks are here because of him. The horse block was erected by desire of the Duke of Wellington 1830. He was standing right there. Ooh, the door is open. Do I do it? Do I do it? No. It's a members only club. It's still a members only club, and you have to get elected to be, like, it's very, very exclusive, and I don't want to go in there, get some trouble, but I'd love to see inside. I want to see the library. Absolutely crazy. But yeah, the Duke of Wellington got off his horse right there, walked up these steps and went inside the club. Wow. Once again, it's amazing that it even happened, but it's just even more amazing that it's still here. Like, people are walking straight past it. They're not even reading the sign. They don't care what it is, but you know, you got to read stuff sometimes. You might learn something, but let's go and see Buckingham Palace. By the way, it's not easy to get elected to the club. Everybody's rich and famous. We are on Waterloo Place, SW Southwest. You can just see the London Eye peeking over the trees. This street is one of the most famous in London. It's called the Mall, and it's also on the Monopoly board. Over here we can see some London police officers on duty. I'm gonna do something I definitely should not do. Let's go to the middle of the street. So if you go that way, you're gonna get to Buckingham Palace. If you go that way, you get back to Trafalgar Square. It's around 1 mile. Let's go to Buckingham Palace.
Or maybe they have like a little...
So our hidden gems tour in London is going to end at probably the most famous building in London, one of the most famous buildings in the whole world, Buckingham Palace. Please let me know if you enjoyed this video. I had so much fun today showing you the secrets of London. There is going to be a part 2, so I'm going to be in London for a few days. So the next video is going to be even more hidden gems. So hit the like, hit the subscribe if you want to see more hidden gems here in the greatest city in the world. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it so much. Have an amazing day, and I'll see you in part 2. Goodbye.